the verb root. Ah, good, good, good. Got it. Okay. Okay, good. Recording some. Okay, root suffixes. They come between the verb root and the aspect. Right? So they're right after the verb root. Um, there can be more than one root suffix in a word. And there are 11 different root suffixes. So they're a common feature. You know, you expect to see one in a lot of words. What I'm going to do today is look at three, well, actually, no, four main ones. I don't know why. Anyway, I'm going to be looking at the causative instrumental, the instrumental, and of course, the undoer, which last week we called the trickster, because it is, because I've never encountered anything like it in another language. Now, the causative, which is represented by a T, sometimes with a vowel before it, is the most common one. You know, it's the one you see much, more often than all the others. Now, it has three different meanings. One is place. It adds the idea of place. So here we have, for example, there's a verb to go, which is an A sound. And if you add the causative to it, you get to go to some place. And then somewhere else in the sentence, you'll mention the place that the person's going to, or the thing is going to, right? So go, and to go to some place. Likewise, the verb of motion to arrive, it becomes to arrive at a particular place. So it could be she goes to a particular place, or she arrives at a particular place, and another word in the sentence will say where it was she went. You need the causative for that. The example I have on the sheet is with the verb to go running. And here we have, she went running to a place. The A plus, now that sound there marked by what looks like a little question mark is a glottal stop. The language has many glottal stops. What they are is the sound that you make when you go or aha. It's that catch in the throat. It's fairly common in indigenous languages. European languages, they don't have a symbol for it. You know, they don't consider it significant. It does appear, like in it does appear, but it's not considered significant. So in this word here, we have the past indicator, then she, and take, which is to go running, which is consonant conjugation. You see it begins with a consonant and not a vowel, which is a general indicator. And then we have the causative root suffix plus the punctual aspect. The punctual aspect adds nothing to that. And when you have the punctual with the causative, you just know because there's nothing after the causative that it's the punctual, right? It's known by its absence. Okay. So that's causative. It's not, that's the place function. The most common one, of course, is to mean to cause or to make. Right? To cause or to make. So I can give lots of examples. In the verb to be dry, you add it and it's to cause to be dry. The verb to be, you have it to cause to appear. With fall, it's to cause to fall, so on and so on. And to be miserable you add the T to it, it is to torment somebody, because that makes them miserable. All right. So the first example we have here is he built a fire, caused burning. So we have the past again, the masculine singular agent, the verb to burn, and again we have the causative plus the punctual. So he built a fire, he caused burning. It also could have the sense of to light a fire, anything that says causation is in this word. It's causing the state talked about by the verb. Now, I have a little question here. If you wanted to say, she is cooking it, and the verb to cook is re, and it takes, and it's consonant conjugation, and it takes the feminine zoic singular agent. Okay, how would you write this word? All right. So you need to write the agent, the feminine zoic singular agent, and you need to write the verb root. You need to write the causative and then the stative, because it has ing. When you say ing, you know it's the stative that's being used. So how would you write that word?
The first is ya.
You got it. Yeah.
Causative. Feminine zoic singular. Cooking.
Yeah. So the verb to cook is re.
Re, yes.
Yeah. Now you have to add the causative plus the stative to that.
Yeah. The causative, is it a hash?
Yeah, it's well, it could have an H in it or not. Yeah. So yeah, it could be there.
Is A, H, or T, or A or H. I'm not too sure.
No. For this particular case, we have the verb root as re. The causative comes right after it.
Okay.
So you just add the causative marker to it.
Okay. Well, it's AHT. Yeah,
well,
H.
In this case, it would just be T. After the E sound, it would just be T.
Just because we have an A. Okay.
Yeah. It would be AH before it.
Okay.
If there were a consonant.
Okay.
But because it ends with a vowel, you just put in the T.
Okay.
Okay.
And then now the stative would be.
Let's see.
Native.
Wandat, it's an animal.
I notice I haven't any indicators here, so
Yeah.
maybe I'll. Yeah.
Would it be just the I, E?
Yeah, it would just be the E sound is represented by I. That's right. So
Okay.
to write she is cooking, you would say yariti. And of course you stress the second last syllable. Yariti. She is cooking.
Yariti.
Yeah, yariti.
Can you spell it, please, John?
Yes. Y-A.
Yes.
R-I-T-I.
Okay. Okay, but because I put the T just before in the third letter, but it's not the case. Okay. Yeah,
All right. All right.
she's cooking
And is the it written down, or does it appear anywhere? The it, like
The
she's
H,
cooking
not,
it? No.
no, there's nothing, no, here, if it was, she was cooking it, and then you said what it was later on, there would be something else added.
Okay.
That would indicate, she is cooking with respect to something, you'd have something
Mhm.
else in there.
Mhm.
You would, you could represent that
Yeah.
with a O instead of a ya. So she would be like she, it, to cook, or cooking, and so you would render that with a pronominal prefix, more complicated pronominal prefix. All right. And if you were cooking an animal, you would add before the verb,
Mhm.
you would add a'at, which refers to something living. It's a very, very common noun, refers to something living. So, yeah,
So it would be hariti if you cook, if she cook an animal.
yeah.
Okay.
And that's a very, very common noun. You'll see that
Yeah.
noun a lot of the time.
Okay.
Okay. So another use of it is to talk about a purpose or a reason.
Okay.
Right. So, for example, if you'd say to love or like something, adding the T would be to love or like for some reason. And the some reason would be placed somewhere in the sentence.
Okay. Okay.
You might put it before that verb, right? You might put it before that verb and then put a day as a separate word, which means the. So it would be, with the reason, the, and then you would say to love or like for some reason. It's used for both senses. They don't distinguish between love and like in that verb. I've seen it used a lot of times and it's never been, it's not a clear distinction.
Okay.
Now, a few other examples would be, the one I like, oh, that's the causative instrumental, sorry. Do I have another one here? Oh, yeah, for some purpose, we have, he used it for some purpose, some reason. Again, the past, using the HA form. Now, do is a consonant stem verb, even though it begins with a vowel. There are a lot of those. So consonant conjugation isn't a perfect description of it. Like many things in linguistics, it doesn't cover everything.
Mhm.
All right. So here, because because the verb ends with a consonant, there's an A before the T or an ot. There might be an H after the A, between the H and the ot.
Oh,
Yeah, I've just seen it written this way, but it could have had that. And the punctual, you know, it's there because there's nothing there. It's indicated by its absence. All right. So the next one, they, and here I introduced, I haven't used many pronominal prefixes yet, just basically the singular, because it just gives you the
Mhm.
idea of here it is, here's what you do with it. So for consonant stem verbs, they feminine is ati. The masculine form would be hati, because the H in the masculine are very, very close. But yeah, so no H, you know it's feminine.
It's hard to for me with a French ear. It's very hard to make the distinction
Yeah.
between the feminine and the masculine.
Yeah, it would be hard. And I'm sure, and I've seen early Jesuit writings in
Yeah,
which they missed it.
yeah,
You know, yeah. And I say, no, that's a man's name. There's no way that would have an A, just an A in it. But it's hard. It's not something you're trained to hear, you know.
No.
Like, you know, I mean, obviously I wasn't trained to hear glottal stops
Yes.
because in languages I had dealt with before didn't have them or didn't recognize them as, you know, you learn what is significant in the language. You know, you learn that this makes a distinction.
John, just a quick question. Are you able to suggest us a grammar in Wandat to learn the difference between the pronoun and something like that? Is there any grammar that you can suggest?
Well, there were, I mean, I've written, I've written, this is the cheapest copy they sent me.
Can you put your screen a little down because we don't see the book?
Okay.
Okay,
all right.
thanks.
So I'm
Thanks.
looking for a better copy. Now this is called the Wyandotte language.
Okay.
And
Structure and
the grammar, the grammar is the same.
Okay.
And yeah, so it's the Wyandotte language structure and dictionary. I published it in 2021.
It should be very useful for us.
Yeah, it would be. It would be. Also useful and easier to access is Words of the Huron.
Yeah, this site I have read, but
yeah,
for the grammary, it's not so good, I think.
It's more. It's the purpose wasn't the grammar for that book.
The grammar.
So, it wasn't.
Because the grammar is so hard. You have so many ways to say the pronoun and it's difficult for.
I just thought of something. There's a book that just came out this week.
Oh, wow.
I worked with a number of Belgian scholars on this one, and I got to go to Belgium.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was neat. Beer and chocolate. What could be a better place? You know?
Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah. Now, the book is what I'll do is I don't think it was the University of Potsdam that published it.
Okay, in Germany.
In Belgium, and it's written in English.
Okay.
That's why they hired me.
That's okay in English.
And you can get it. It has an access. You can access it.
Okay.
Online. I don't know whether there's a hard copy.
Yeah.
So you can access it online. Now,
If you have the link before next week.
Well, I can, yeah, I can, I mean, I have it. It's just I don't want to go through the computer to get to it.
No, no, no,
but I
not
do
no,
have it.
not no.
Yeah.
I'm interrupting you. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's if you were to look under Pierre Potier's grammar of I, I can't remember whether they wrote it as Wendat or Wyandotte. Yeah, so if you look under Pierre Potier's, if you look online under Pierre Potier's grammar of Wyandotte or Wendat, you should be able to find it.
Okay, thanks.
But if you don't, I mean, I'll send out a
Yeah, I'm gonna try after the lesson.
yeah, because it's good because it explains things. Like the explanations are in Latin, and these people, the Belgian scholars were Latin specialists, which is good because I never took Latin in high school. I mean, I know it's a little bit,
Yeah.
you know.
So the explanation are in Latin.
Well, but they're also translated into English.
Okay, it's translated.
Yeah,
English.
yeah.
Okay.
So they translate it, and I cleaned up the translation, so it's accessible to
Sure.
people who haven't
Very
worked in
good.
Latin. Yeah,
Okay.
no, it was good. I learned a lot of Latin working with those people. I really liked working with them because I learned a lot.
Good.
And they learned from me. But that would be good because that's Potier's grammar, which is the best grammar.
Okay.
It's the best. And to try to get it hard copy, the original that was published or republished in 1920, it's really expensive and not very accessible. Or this way, it's free.
Good. Wonderful.
Yeah, which I like, you know.
Yes.
I wasn't doing it for the money, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So it does explain, there are a lot of things explained in it. And it's a good text, you know. I'm thinking of printing it up, although it's, I think, 441 pages.
Wow. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of explanation.
It's difficult to make the difference sometimes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you know, the experience in single lessons are good, but having a text that you can consult, because I still, like, I use Poche all the time, you know, it's in about 10 pieces now. I've used it so often.
Wow.
And there's a lot of tape on the pages.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, Anchored in Ink. That's it. Yeah. I forgot the title. Yes. Yes.
The link. Thanks,
Yeah.
Peter.
Oh, good. Thank you so much. Yeah.
There's Ronnie sent us the link. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Way to go, Renee. That's great. You know, because that's it. And you know, it's free access online.
Okay, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Oh, great. That's fantastic. Yeah. I forgot that Anchored in Ink because they made up that one and that part of the title, and I didn't, so I forget. Okay. So all right, so we're back to this particular thing for some purpose, for some reason.
Okay.
We did the first one, he used it. And now the next one, they, feminine, pounded for a purpose, for a reason. After that, I think there was it is bread. You know, so it was in the making of bread, right? It was the pounding of the flour to make bread. So the rest of the sentence was they pounded it to make bread, would be the translation of the whole sentence. So you just have the thing that they made with it. That was the reason, that was the purpose. Yeah, I have it here. Yeah, they pound to bake a lot of bread. Okay. All right. Now the next one, and it's using I, and it's the yen, e conjugation. I am feeling compassion for such a reason. right? I am having or feeling compassion for such a reason. And the first is first person singular agent. The verb is to feel compassion, which we worked with last week. The verb root is, well, the yin and e conjugation. You can tell that by how the root starts. The causative root suffix, because the verb root ends with a consonant, the a goes in there. The a sound has to go in there. You can't have an r just followed by a t. You can't do that. It has to, well, you can, there are some words that do that, but generally you don't do that, and certainly not with a verb root that ends with r. You don't have a t coming after it. You have a vowel. And then the stative aspect, as it usually is the sound E for that. I am feeling compassion for such a reason. And then either before that or after that, you put what the reason is. And it's another verb altogether, or a noun, but it's probably a verb that's going to say this is the reason. Or they'll just say this is, and then you see with a verb that has to be a reason, and then you see something described elsewhere, it's the reason. It's the reason. Okay, so now here, the translate, okay. The verb here is er, which means to do. The pronominal prefix is ya, which is she or it. And then you know that the at is the causative and the I is the stative aspect. Right, you know that. Okay, so how would you translate that whole word? So it's ya, at, e. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. Like most verbs have 4 parts to them.
So the ya would be a she?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. And then er, you said was to do?
To do, yes. It's a very, very common verb in language.
Okay. So it's is the present tense, is not past? I don't
Yeah,
think so.
it's yeah, because when you see the e at the end, it's the stative, so it would end, the verb in English would end with ing.
Yeah.
Ing,
So
yeah, because
she's
it's
doing
talking
it.
about right now. It's talking about right now.
Yeah. So she's doing.
Yeah.
She's doing something.
She used to do something. No,
No.
No.
I just, the use there is just no. So it's something that's now.
Okay. She's.
And purpose or reason should be put in
It's
the
not.
translation.
It's not with having compassion or something.
No, this one here is the verb is to do.
Okay.
So the verb is to do.
Okay.
So she's doing it, doing whatever for a reason.
Yeah, for some reason. Yeah.
For
So
some
she is doing it for some reason.
She's doing it.
And then elsewhere in the sentence, the reason will be given.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's saying there's another word here. There's
Okay.
another word here. Okay.
But the verb, and sometimes it's so similar. She used to for some. Okay, I see. Okay, I
Here,
understand.
this is she, of course.
Okay, I understand, John. I
Yeah,
saw.
yeah.
Okay, good.
Now, so the next one is called the causative instrumental root suffix. Now, it's not used as often, and verbs that use the causative don't use the causative instrumental. And the two of them do not appear in the same word. They cannot appear in the same word. That and the causative and the causative instrumental cannot appear in the same word. It's one or the other. The meaning is quite similar. Now, when it appears, it typically appears before another root suffix. Right? So it would appear before. If there is another root suffix in it, it will come after this one. It will come after this one. There's a rule to that. You know, there's a specific order in which root suffixes appear if there's more than one in a word. All right, so yeah, with me here. Now, some examples of this before I go through this one. There's a verb to be humid. And if you add the causative instrumental, it would be to make humid. It makes it, it makes it humid. And the example I like best is there's a verb to be related. Noho means to be related. If you add the causative instrumental to it, it means to adopt. It means to adopt. So to make related. And there was a lot of, one thing that the history books don't tell much about the Wendat and other people is how often they adopted people. If they were fighting a specific other nation, they would adopt. They wouldn't kill them all. They would adopt some. They would adopt some. The great Mohawk leader, Joseph Brant, had some Wendat ancestors because some of his ancestors had been adopted. And there was one book that I really didn't like. It was written about people known in English as the Fox. And the writer went on and on about how nasty the Wyandotte were to the fox. And I wanted to, if I was ever at a conference with that guy, I'd say, do you realize how many of the fox the Wyandotte adopted? My favorite example of that is a woman who was captured by the Wyandotte. She was adopted and she became a female elder. She was on the Female Elder Council and she was a very important person. And a lot of kids were adopted too, right? And they, not as important as her, but they were significant members of the community. So this verb to adopt is a very big thing, right? It's a very big thing. And it just, like I say, it just bothered me when I read that book. Okay, so now, here we have the next one. It's on 2 pages, unfortunately, is to be together, to be a number of things together. Now, in this word given here, the Of course, is the past, the factual. The hein is a form of masculine plural agent. Now, it can refer to a group that's all male or to a group that is male and female. Right, so they have a male plural that really is a male and female plural. And the female plural is just a female plural.
Mhm.
Okay. So shifting the page over here. Be a number together is the verb root. It's O conjugation.
On.
The O conjugation. It's the verb root to be together. Usually if you're talking about a bunch of people, this verb is going to appear. So be a number together. Now you add the HST, the causative instrumental root suffix in the punctual aspect. And you get, they made a number together. Now, in the sentence I gave here, there is one of the few numbers that is not a verb. Almost every number, and we talked about this last time, a year ago, almost every number is a verb. This one isn't. Wish is not a verb. And here, the other words here, just to say that to means there. Aati, then. N is the. It can be an N or it can be a D or it can be an NDE. And it's a very, very common, very common. And of course, uwish means five. So this sentence would read, there are five together there. There are five together there. And you'd be talking about humans. So how many people are there? There are five together there. And this is what that would say. Okay. All righty. Next verb is to be friends. And the verb there.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
John. The number 5 is where here?
You see the uwish, U-W-I-S with a.
Mm.
It's right after.
Okay, John.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, the make friends, they made friends, became friends. Instead of just saying they are friends, you're saying people were made, they were made friends. That something, something happened and they made friends. So the factual passed again here for now I just noticed, yeah, this I noticed I wrote it as hund. It's really in Wandat it's hund. It's an O. I copied it from a Wandat text. Likewise, that atiru should be ateron. Be friends. Oh, atiro. Sorry, atiro. And it's a conjugation because it begins with an A. You have the causative instrumental, root suffix appearing, and then the punctual aspect. And the punctual aspect, when it's an A like that, it's usually an sound. And it can be written as AHAH, or it can be written as a glottal stop. And the stress would be on the oo, the last vowel of the verb. So you'd say ahunda te rusta'a. Ahunda te rusta'a. You're stressing that particular syllable. The next example, there is a verb to have as a stepchild, which tells you something about the culture, that they would have a verb root like that. Shows that that often happened. People did, it's part of that adoption thing. So again, factual. Now, there's an agent and a patient in the pronominal prefix. So it's he to him. So masculine singular agent, masculine singular patient. And then the verb is to have a stepchild. And again, it's consonant conjugation like most verbs are. And then the punctual is as with the previous example. Okay, so again, it's a form of adoption. It's a verb describing adoption.
Excuse me, John.
Yeah.
There's no difference in Wandat between having a stepchild and a stepson. It's the same word?
Well, because the verb is to have a stepchild, the pronominal prefix tells you it's a son because it's a
Okay.
masculine, right? There's no,
Yeah.
It's just like there's no word that means son
Okay.
and no word that means daughter.
Okay.
But you can tell who's being referenced.
Okay.
By like you would say, he has her as child.
Uh-huh.
That means she's his daughter.
Okay.
Right. So there is, when you deal with kinship terms, there are a lot of terms that aren't there. And son and daughter, there's no term that specifically, there's no verb to mean to be a brother. There's a verb to be siblings of. And then it's a brother by the pronominal prefixes. They tell you the gender of who you're talking about.
Okay.
Right? Which is interesting. Same thing with grandmother and grandfather. There's no verb that, the verb is to be grandparent to. And then you can tell whether there's it's a grandmother or granddaughter, depending on the pronominal prefix.
Okay, thanks.
Which is, it's very different from a European language doing that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's,
Of course.
and of course it's expressed with a verb and not a noun. It was so hard when Brebeuf was trying to talk about, the father and the son. You can't do it. You can't do it. Eventually, he used a pronominal prefix that I haven't talked about, which is one that can refer to like people generally, or they, sort of a, and it would sort of say, kind of saying, he is father to someone. And the term for the son is someone has him as a child, right? And it took him a long time to get to that.
Yeah.
It was really hard for him because it was so incredibly foreign to him.
Yes.
But he did, I admire him because he sought it out.
Yeah.
He was really good that way. He would seek things out, and he eventually, kind of realized there's no way I could say this like it's European, right? And
Right.
so, but yeah, the family, I wrote an article on.
Yes, I think I read your article, but
Yeah.
I probably didn't remember a lot.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, I don't remember a lot. Just what happens during the day. Let alone years, right? Okay, so you can see then those are, it's not used as often as the causative is, but it's there. It's there. Now, the third one here is the instrumental. Now, the instrumental can occur with the causative, right? The two can occur. It comes after the causative. So when you're looking at the root suffixes of a word with the instrumental, there's a good chance that it comes after a causative. I'll get into that. I think I have okay, don't have an example of that. Well, just like, I'll give you some examples. There's a verb to shut a door. And if you want to say to shut, wait, no, I don't want to use that example. Okay, this is it. Okay. Yeah, there's a verb that means to awaken. If you add the causative to it, it is waking somebody. You're causing someone to become awake. If you add the instrumental to the causative and the verb root, it means you awaken somebody using something. Like, say you picked up the cat and put it on top of him. You awakened him using the cat, right? Or by yelling or something, So the instrumental there, the causative adds causation, the instrumental adds the instrument. And that's why it's called the instrumental. It adds the instrument, the thing that does it. Another example, there's a verb root, indiri, that means to be strong. If you add the causative to it, it is to fortify, to strengthen, to make strong. And if you add the instrumental to that, so it has the verb root, the causative, and the instrumental, it would be to strengthen by some means, by some, like you could say, well, he strengthens by lifting weights, and you would have, he strengthens by some means weights, so it adds those. So that it's fairly common to see the causative followed by the instrumental. It's a fairly common thing. Okay, so we'll get a couple of examples here. Okay. Now here, the instrumental can also be a nominalizer, which means it can turn a verb into a noun. So here, this first example, there's the verb root sun to rise. The sun rises. And okay, I won't get into something else. Okay, sun to rise, consonant conjugation because it begins with an R. If you, yeah, sorry.
Sorry, John, can we come back to the translation of he made him his
Oh, yeah,
friend?
sorry, I didn't do that one. Okay,
It's
yeah. So what you need there, okay, he made him his friend.
he made,
Uh,
yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to begin it with a
with
factual.
a,
Yeah,
because
because
it's
it's in
past.
the past, yeah.
You, because it's him.
Well, it's
Who,
he, him.
who,
He-
no,
It would be who,
who,
he
H-U,
made him, yeah.
yeah.
And then there's the verb root to be friends, which is ateru,
Ateru,
ateru, yeah.
yeah. And
And then there would be after that there would be the verb.
there would be the suffix HST.
Yeah, there would be that would be the suffix, the root
Okay.
suffix.
And at the end, you have this A with the diacritic.
Glottal stop, yeah.
Yeah.
And
How do
the
you
punctual.
pronounce this A again?
Aha,
Ha ha.
aha, aha.
Okay. Okay, that's the way you say it.
Yeah, okay. So we have
Okay.
there
Okay, I see.
he, him. Well, we have, it's made up of past tense, so factual, he, him,
Mhm.
to be friends,
Ateru.
and you add to that the causative instrumental, and you
Yes.
add to that the punctual.
Yes. So it will be at
You Hateru.
ahu.
Yeah,
Ahu.
yeah,
Hateru is
List ha.
ah,
List ha.
yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
I don't know if they would understand me, but
Well, if they had a good ear, they would. Yeah, no, it's kind of complicated. It's kind of complicated. All right, so
okay.
that's the causative instrumental, and
Mm.
as I say, it's not as common as the other two, but it's still common enough. You're going to see it fairly regularly. All right, the instrumental, which appears after the causative and after the causative instrumental. So if the causative is in the word, it would come after it. If the causative instrumental appears in a word, it comes after that too. Now, I have several meanings for this. One is, I said, a nominalizer. It turns a verb into a noun. So when you take in the first word here, you have the verb root, the sun to rise, for the sun to rise. If it's followed by the instrumental root suffix, it changes the word into referring to sun rays as a noun. Right, so it refers to the rays of the sun. The verb root there is ut. The other verb root there is ut, which means to stand. And then the punctual aspect. So we got a six-part word. The future, it, sun to rise, instrumental turning that into sun rays, so you can add a verb after it, a verb root after it. And then after the verb root, you have the punctual.
Okay. Yeah,
So
the difference.
it's a different kind of construction,
Yeah.
but it works, and there's a fair number of words, nouns that are created by using
So
instrumental.
when it's the past, you have a when with the future you have E as a suffix. And when
No,
it's
no, as a suffix,
no.
as a suffix. As a
as a
suffix,
prefix.
the punctual aspect
Okay.
always takes the same form.
Okay.
What's
And-
different is the pre-pronominal prefix.
And when it's the present, John, if you want us, you
You use the stative.
Stative.
Typically, it's kind of means be in a state of. right?
okay, okay.
Be in a state of.
Present is stated.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one reason why the stative is the most common occurring aspect.
Okay.
John, I'd like
Yeah.
to understand better this noun maker or nominalizer thing, because
Mhm.
I see that it's the sentence, for instance, at the bottom of the page, Yarakuta.
Yeah.
It's translated as a sentence with a verb, and so
It could mean either.
where's the noun making in this?
Well, you see the beginning where I begin it with sun rays. That's
Yeah.
what, like if you were
Oh.
to say it is a sun ray, you
Okay.
would say Yarakwa. Yarakwa.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
Yarakwi, sorry. Yarakwi. It is a
Yeah.
sun ray.
Okay.
No,
So
sorry, duh. No, Yarakwa means sun ray. The W is dropped there because the U is coming right after it. So Yarakwa, if you see Yarakwa in a sentence, it means sun ray. And it's made up of the Ya being it, the Ra being sun to rise, the Kwa turning it into a noun, and the Ya being a noun suffix because it's now a noun.
okay.
Yeah, it's complicated, I know.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out because you
Yeah,
said
no,
that.
it's just a different way. That is very different. I don't know why they do that, because there are there's another nominalizer which is more common, but it seems like it's kind of in a way of saying that the sun ray is the instrument of the sun.
Okay.
Think of the sun ray as the instrument for the sun,
Okay.
and then it starts to make some sense.
Okay. And so the noun is sort of built into the verb. Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's constructed. It's constructed inside the whole word. Yeah.
Okay.
So, so the K turns the verb into a noun.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. It nominalizes it, to use
Yeah.
an unbelievably
I know.
complicated word. Yeah, it nominalizes it, turns it into a noun. And it doesn't have the W because the U's there. You can't have W followed by U. All right. Now, here's a more more usual one. Okay, the next one is it is a large group. This is written in Wandat Yanchu. In Huron, it would be Yanchu, Yancho. It must be a clan. All right. So the verb is to be a clan. It has it, be a clan. And then again, you put a K into it. You put the instrumental into it. it becomes a noun. It becomes a noun. Uane means to be large or to be great. It's used in the word to be an elder. So it means the sense of not just large, but great in something, large in something, great in something, as an elder is great in something.
It is a large group, so
Yeah, so we have it plus be a clan, so it is a clan, then we're turning it into clan. And then adding, it's a large clan and it's in a state of being in a large clan.
so
Yeah.
the verb is everywhere.
That's right. That I say that all the time. I say
Yeah, it's
lesson number
interesting.
one in the Wendat language is the verb is everywhere.
Yes, I can
Even when
see
you
that.
don't suspect it, it's there somewhere. Just look for
Mhm.
it, you know. Okay. The next example, you will put it inside a place. It's a future. It's the pronominal prefix meaning you, the sh sound. To be inside. The instrumental root suffix turns it into adds the meaning of a place or an instrument. And there's the punctual. So what we have here is you will put it inside a place from a verb that would normally just by itself mean you will put it. Or no, sorry, will be it is inside. All right. So, you know, place is a common translation of,
This is
right? It's a common translation.
so I'm sorry, John. The
No, no.
A here, the A,
Yeah,
is it the mark of the future?
yes.
Okay. Okay, good. Thanks.
And the sh is the you. Ra, of
Yeah.
course, is the verb. And then the instrumental turns it into talking about a place and that you're putting it somewhere. It's making it more active rather than just being inside. It's making something inside. It's putting something inside. It
Mhm.
changes that way.
Mhm.
And I put the English sentence and use it to make sugar. So, oh, that's for the next one, sorry. But you will put it inside a box. You would put that word and followed by the noun, ya'atsa sha'a, meaning box. So the first word is saying you will put it inside a place and following it afterwards is the place. The place is a separate word, and it has the day, which is a very common word meaning the, you know.
So here, I'm sorry, John, but
No,
here,
no.
will is not just A, it's with an H.
Yeah, it's a, there's a at the end there. That sometimes happens before the show.
Okay.
So it's a sha. So it gives, you know, maybe it's a little picky of me to add it there, but
Sure, you.
yeah.
Punctueless.
Because we see that in the next example too, which again, I mix up the writing. It's the same sh, it's just I wrote it this way. It's a problem with it. Okay, the next one, you will use it for such, or you will use it for something. And it begins with will again. The H, she, you, which will happen with that particular, okay. And then the verb is sta. There's the instrumental, and it has the ah, qua. And you'd stress the qua and then alpha, qua. Yeah. And it's saying you'll use it for something, you will use it for something, and you know that this will be followed by specification of what it's going to be used for. All right. That's why I put the such in there. You will use it for such. All right, any questions about that?
You. My question is that, John,
Yeah.
is there a reason why the second person you changes? Is it an influence, a phonetic influence? Or?
No, I wrote it differently, the two different ways. It's the same sound. I don't,
Okay.
I probably copy that or something when I was writing in a different style, but no, it's the same. It's that sh.
Okay.
I apologize for that. Now, we have the trickster. Okay, so we'll do a little bit on this, right? All right, this is the one called the undoer. Usually takes the form wa or uwa or awa. Occasionally ska, and I don't know why ska is used. It doesn't follow any logical pattern that I've ever seen. So what it means is we're changing this to its opposite.
And
We're
then
changing it, yeah, we're changing it to its opposite.
yeah.
So here we have a verb that means to be with. The opposite of being with is being outside of the group. So if you select something out of a group, go to a grocery store and pick out a banana, you're selecting it out. It's no longer in the group. It's no longer with the others. This is a very common, so if you say he often chooses, or he often picks, or he often selects, that's what this word means. The ha is he. It's a masculine singular agent, no surprise. The ra is to be with, consonant conjugation. And then the wa turns it right around, takes it out of where it was before, creates an opposition situation. It's the difference between being with a group or being outside the group.
So it's a verbal antonym.
Yeah, that's a good try. I'm gonna write that down. I like that. I like that. That's a good way of describing it.
Yeah.
It's unusual in languages. I don't think I've seen it. I mean, I've seen it in the related languages, but I've never seen it in another language that does it as completely as this does.
So the opposite is marked in a morphological way, not in a
Yeah.
semantic way.
That's right. Yeah, more and just like verbs are everywhere,
Mhm.
everything is morphological and not separate now,
Okay,
not
okay, I
separate words, right?
understand.
Morphology rules this language.
Yeah, it looks
King,
like.
king morphology rules. Okay,
Mhm.
that's an important thing to remember with actually with any indigenous language. I've been writing something in which I've been dealing with languages of British Columbia, and they're unrelated, and yet I see so many things that are familiar to me. I say, oh yeah, okay, they do that too. Okay, that's good. I understand it.
Oh, this one. Yeah.
Okay, on the next page, we have the verb root to join. Okay, to join.
Excuse me, John.
Yeah.
I bring you back to
Okay.
to. If you say, maybe I missed your explanation.
Okay.
If you say he often, what was it? This one. One is he opens. He often. He often.
He often chooses, yeah, because that often habitual, pretty much always with the habitual, you can translate it to mean often, something that is repeated.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, you could
I was
talk about,
having another example in my mind.
yeah,
Let's
yeah,
say
yeah.
he often closed the door. He often opened the door. How do you know?
Well, you could
You
do that. Yeah, you could do that if it's the verb to close the door, and you put the the undoer into it. It would mean open the door. So you could say he often opens the door. Like it could be he's a gentleman. He opens the door for women, right?
yeah. So
Yeah,
simply you put the endure
yeah.
in simply to the verb open.
Or no, and it's the
or
verb to
close.
shut. Yeah, yeah. Or it, yeah. See, the verb talks about a particular state of things,
Mhm.
and what the undoer does is undoes the state, changes the state,
Yeah,
changes the state to its opposite. Closed door, open door, opposites.
yeah. And this endure will change depending on the verb. It will change, or
Yeah.
it will always stay the same endure.
Well, it always. Well, I mean, it always has that sense. Always has that sense of taking something to its opposite state.
Mhm.
Okay, and okay, thank you. I just
Okay.
wanted to see if the wa here, WA,
Yeah.
which is an endure root suffix, will change depending on the verbs.
Not its meaning. Its meaning is always telling you it's the opposite.
Okay.
You're creating an opposite.
Okay.
So in the next page, we have the verb to join, and the opposite of joining something is dividing it. Right. So we have the past, masculine singular agent, the verb to join. You put the undoer in it. It means I'm dividing it. You know, it's no longer joined. It's no
I
longer
see, I
joined.
understand better. So the endure is related to the verb. It will
Yeah.
change according to the
Yeah.
verb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it gets a good part of its meaning from the verb by being its opposite. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
All right. Now the next one, he is uprooting a tree or pulling a tree out of the ground, like the wind did a few months ago when one of our trees in the backyard just lifted the tree up and dropped it. Kind of scary. I was glad I wasn't outside when that happened.
Yes.
that I'd never seen that before. That was wow. You know.
Amazing.
Okay, so the ront is the same ront that's in Toronto, which of course is a Mohawk word meaning tree or pole.
Tree.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So harantri, and then from harantu means, he is standing a tree up, although you'd probably need another root suffix to say he's in the action of doing it. Otherwise, you're just sort of saying he is a standing tree, which could be a metaphor. So haranut, and then you add the undoer to it. The opposite of it standing is it being uprooted. It's no longer standing in the ground. It is now pulled up and lying on the ground. All right, that's how that one works. And the next one is quite similar. Ahashora. Now, what is interesting is that the Wendat word is so incredibly like the French word for axe. I don't know why that is, because they did have axes before, but it is interesting that the two nouns are virtually the same. I don't have a ready answer for that. Yeah, I know when I first saw that, I said, wow, they must have borrowed it from the French. And axes were trade items. So it may be because it was a trade item that they took the name. They didn't borrow many words from the French. They borrowed a few words from their Algonquian neighbors. Their word for the Inuit was borrowed from them. The word for moose was borrowed from, them as well. And who knows where they, yeah, okay. So we have he attached or affixed an axe head to the handle. So factual means it's in the past. He, masculine singular agents. Ash, axe blade. The blade, it specifically refers to the blade of the axe. The axe generally, but when it narrows, it's to the blade, which is not a surprise. The next, so you add the see the next thing. Yeah, when did I write that? Okay. Actually, that should be anyway.
Ora is the verb. Ora.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. Sorry. The wa. I left the wa out there.
Yeah, something is missing.
I think the wa
sorry
is
about
in
that.
the last example.
Yeah. No, it should be in this one too.
Okay. So, but you have a wa in the detached.
Yeah, it's in both.
Detached.
It's in both words. I don't know why I neglected to type that one up. I'll blame the birds. There was a bird on my shoulder and I wasn't paying attention. That's my usual excuse for things. That's the bird. The bird messed me up there, right? Anyway, so yeah, so we have the verb root meaning affix, to connect, to link two things. So when you're putting the axe blade onto the axe handle, then you use this. But when you add wa to it, it means you're detaching the two, you're separating the two, you're undoing what had been done. Right, you're undoing what had been done. Alrighty, so there you have a couple of choices here as to what we do next week.
John, I have a quick question
Sure,
about the under. This, when you want to express a verb like uprooting, you have no other way to say that.
No.
You have to use the
That's right.
under.
That's right. You have to use that. There's no verb to uproot.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. No, the
And there
undoer
are
does the
many
job.
examples for that. There are many other.
I mean, it's not hugely common, but there's probably, I think I know of about 30 or 40 examples, and there's maybe a
Okay.
few more than that. But
Okay.
I think I've only seen about 30 or 40, but it's useful. And
Yeah.
it really is, you know, anything that has an easy opposite. I think
Yeah.
that's a way of doing it.
It is very interesting because just to speak this way by antonym, it's very interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's so, I know when I first learned about it, I was fascinated, you know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I just, you know,
It's an economy of
That-
language.
it is. Yeah, it is kind of an economy.
in my opinion, the indigenous language, they speak with a lot of periphrase, and you know, so that's make them so interesting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's just a different, you know, like each time I learn a new word, it's okay. That's a different way of expressing that I would use in my own language, you know, and
Yeah.
often enough happens. It just sort of, oh yeah, okay, all right,
Okay,
get that.
thank you.
All right.
John,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. At the
No,
level,
no.
it's because it's interesting because
Yeah,
you
yeah.
give us the phonetic transcription. So, and I'm noticing this her sound that comes back.
Yeah.
Hash, ha, shah, hash, wa.
Yeah, yeah.
So, is it? I am. I like it in a certain way,
Yeah,
you know, and
yeah.
I don't know what is the. I don't know. Maybe you never studied that, but it is maybe an interesting
Yeah.
question to answer. Why is it there? Peter, you know about this? No, it's very interesting to me because I have a musical ear, and
Yeah.
and I see this coming back. It's interesting.
And it's so common because it's a masculine indicator.
So what the
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, most of the
that's
pronouns,
interesting.
most of the pronominal prefixes that indicate male begin with an H, begin with a,
He put it
Yeah.
everywhere.
yeah, oh yeah, it's all
Oh,
over the
boy.
place. It's
Okay.
all over the place, yeah.
So it's pure testosterone.
Could be. Yes, because only a man can properly say it. That's
Oh,
funny.
gosh. Okay, maybe now I
Okay.
have my answer.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Well, because the women were the ones who did the most important work, you know, they grew the corn, beans, and squash. Men had to make themselves seem significant by changing their pronominal prefix. You know, it could be a male thing, right? That's funny.
Okay.
I will never say that again. Okay, so for next week, you have, is there anything specific? Like I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different other root suffixes. Want to learn
Okay.
more of those? Or have you
Yeah.
had it with root suffixes?
Yes, that would be good for me.
Well, it's continuing to look at similar things. I think that's
Yeah.
why I thought of,
Okay.
yeah, because
Yeah.
there's plenty of them. And they do, they're not as confusing as the undoer, the trickster. They're not tricksters. Although in a way, they kind of are, but not the same way that the undoer is a trickster. They're sort of, they're crows, not ravens, right?
Okay. Let's continue with those suffix, John, next
Yeah,
week.
okay, because I got them right written down here, yeah. One you've experienced a bit with the purposive. It comes with a dislocative, so, but there's, it's a good, one means to go about, go around doing something. One refers to the advantage or disadvantage of something. Another means many times, many places.
Mhm.
So, it gives, the meanings are straightforward. You just have to learn what does what.
Mm.
Good.
Okay. All right. So
Okay,
next
thanks,
week.
John. Nice week. Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Merci.
John.
Oh,
Thank
thank you.
you.
I
Bye-bye.
enjoy it.
Have a
This is
good
great.
weekend.